holidays
That's kind of hard to find.
that's tough to find sometimes, but we're always looking.
And I had to follow up another question. I noticed on the Northern report there were 2 reported unattended deaths. What do you mean by that?
Yes. Unattended death is usually natural causes. It's when somebody passes away and there's not an attending physician there.
Yeah.
They're not considered homicides,
Okay.
but we go on all unattended deaths on Indian country. Usually we get there, there's a lot of medicines in the room. We can call their family physician, hey, what's going on with this person, and find a medical issue. But we treat all unattended deaths like a homicide till we find out otherwise. So that's why we put it on this, because it's a pretty lengthy ordeal to go through it.
Are you notified of all of those deaths that are Cherokee or Indian related?
No, only on Indian country, and only if.
Now, what do you mean by Indian country? I thought I knew what Indian country meant.
Oh, I thought you said Indians or.
Yeah, but you said only on Indian country.
Right, only on Indian
What do you
country.
mean by that?
Well, restricted Indian.
Okay,
land.
restricted,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
So if it happens off of restricted land or Indian country, then we don't. And sometimes I'm afraid if it happens on Indian country and the family finds the person and calls the local police department and they don't know it's restricted land, we might not be called on that either, so.
Okay, not just Indian country. I take all of us as Indian country. That's the reason I question.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes. Counselor Keenan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Marshal Beal, there was, I think, 3 raids in Rogers County on smoke shops.
Yes, there was.
And that was by the ATF.
No, sir, that was by DEA.
DEA,
It's
okay.
a partnership between DEA and the BIA. Now, we did have marshals there. We had 4 uniformed marshals that assisted them, but they weren't part of the search.
They were looking for K2?
No, it was a document warrant. They were looking for documents, receipts, stuff
Oh.
like that. So that's what they were looking for.
Okay. And then, so that would be, well, were the documents not forthcoming in a timely manner, or?
We're not apprised of any of that. It's a federal investigation. We were called in to just have a uniformed marshals there at each site to assess, so.
And there was another one in Tulsa, I believe.
Yes, it was Owasso, Claremore, Tulsa, yeah.
Okay. And nothing was found, as I understand that.
Well, they weren't looking for anything. They were looking for documents, and they got those documents that they were looking for. So it's an ongoing investigation. We're privy to very little of it because it's not our case. It's a DEA case. So.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Good. Yes. Counselor Vasquez?
I have one quick question back on hiring the marshal. Is there
Yes.
a restriction about where they live? Do they have to live in Tahlequah?
There is a restriction. You have to live within the 14 county,
Within the 14
the
counties.
original jurisdiction. So like if you live in Tulsa County, but you don't live in that line, you got to move into that line. So if you kind of know where that line is, that's where you have to live. So,
Thank you.
and we will accept applications if, let's say they live in Oklahoma City or something like that, and we're pretty easy. We'll give them, 6 or 8 months to get moved into the area, but we don't give them too long because they have take-home cars that are tribal vehicles. They respond from their house and to and fro, and so that's one of the requirements to be a marshal is that you live in the jurisdiction.
Okay, thanks. Oh, and I want to talk to you offline about those cameras.
Okay.
Anybody else? Yes, Marshall, you said they do not have to be cleat certified.
Right.
How many of them are cleat certified,
You mean
are marshals?
that apply? Oh, no, once they become a marshal, we get them cleat certified.
but-
Yeah.
Okay,
So the only ones that aren't actively cleat certified are ones that just get back from the academy that has no training, and then they go through what's called a reciprocity.
okay,
So within about a year and a half of starting here, if you're not cleat certified, you will be. So every marshal's cleat certified,
good.
but you don't have to be to become
To
one.
apply?
Yeah.
Okay. What percentage of our marshals are Cherokee?
I don't have that number, but it's really high. We got 35, and I think 2 might be non-Cherokee.
Okay, good.
So I don't want to be quoted on that, but I'm pretty
That's
close.
okay.
I can get you a hard number.
That's okay. Yeah, that's good. That's a good number. Okay, anybody else? Thank you, Marshall, for that report. Office of Attorney General, Mr. Todd Hembry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. It's always a pleasure to come and report before the Rules Committee. The activity of the Cherokee Nation Attorney General's Office is always busy. Of the major highlights is the completion of the record, administrative record, before the UKB, what we call the 76-acre case. In the Eastern District, the administrative record has been complete and been filed. Each side has filed its objections to particular things that are in the record or things that we wish to add to the record. That being said, it's a major development into the actual meat of the case, the briefing, the arguments. We are definitely gearing up on that front. There still has been no ruling on the 2-acre gaming tract, which is before Judge Frizzell. And I'll report that there's still no decision on the Freedman citizenship case before Judge Hogan in the D.C. District Court. We are continuing to have fruitful negotiations with the state of Oklahoma regarding hunting and fishing, and we hope to hopefully bring that to a decision in the very near future and to be presented to this body. I would like to thank or applaud Marshall Buell for the acquisition of the video cameras. That can only help. That increases accountability and security, not just for the perpetrators, but for, most importantly, the marshals themselves. So we are working hand in hand with the Marshals Service to develop a policy concerning those, and again, want to applaud the Marshal in that regard. That would conclude my report. I would entertain any questions that the committee would have.
Thank you for that.
Thank you very
report.
much.
Councilor Lay, Mr. Hembry, we had one.
Yes.
Sorry, a late starter, Todd. When the DEA comes on to our smoke shops, I know the marshal was notified, and he has no information. Were you notified by anyone, and how does that fit together with our compacts with the state?
Well, the state had nothing to do with this. This is a federal investigation. The Drug Enforcement Agency, the DEA, that is control in being trust property. That's federal jurisdiction. The marshal and myself were knowledgeable that an investigation was ongoing. Obviously, the sensitivity of when a search warrant is executed is very high. That is to avoid any leaks to information for people to remove property that they wouldn't want found. So rightfully, I found out about the raids exactly when the rest of the public did, and that's the way it's supposed to be. The Marshal Service is a highly professional organization that does work very well with the federal authorities, and because of that good relationship and that trust that they have with our law enforcement agencies, they were invited to be a uniformed presence out there. I think that's just a testament to how well the Marshal Service runs their organization, and again, they should be applauded for that.
And so if anything comes of it, will you know about it and report that, or?
Well, I will, what I know I will report, but again, this is a federal investigation that will be taken, that I'm assuming will be taken to a federal grand jury. And the grand jury process in and of itself is very secretive. My office and the office of the Marshal Service will find out information when it becomes appropriate. But again, when I know something, you'll know something.
When we say documents were checked, a DEA shows up and wants to see documents, that doesn't, something just doesn't,
It's my understanding that IRS agents were involved too.
okay.
Good? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Next report, Gwen Terrapin.
Good afternoon. For the time period of February the 26th to the end of March, we've got 24 FOIA requests and 2 GRA requests for a total of 26. And of course, the updated 2015 report is on the website. And probably by the end of April, I'll have all of the requests from 2002 up through 2013 on the website also.
Very good. Thank you. Tax Commission, Sharon Swepston. I know you've been busy.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
I believe you do have my report, and if you have any questions, I will try to answer those.
Yes, Counselor Baker?
Want you to know, I purchased my Cherokee car tag today. I was the only elected official that was not, could not get one until the extended jurisdiction. So I finally have
So
one.
now you can.
Thank you.
Yes, all right.
So you got one, yes.
Yes,
You're official.
I'm official.
Anybody else? Counselor Buzzer?
Just for clarification, Sharon, on the veterans exemption, is that for just a veteran that is 100% disabled?
On the sales tax exemption cards, not ours. Ours is for any veteran, and it's a sales tax exemption at any of our licensed retailers. It only works at our licensed retailers now. It's not like to go to Reesers or somewhere like that, but it's any veteran. They do not have to be 100% disabled. The states does.
Okay. The reason I asked that, I was very few of them.
Right.
I know we have a lot more, but- Okay, well, that was my question, because at first I thought maybe it was,
No,
or just a.
no. It's just a veteran's card, veteran sales tax exemption card, and all they have to show us is their DD 214, their documents, and we can get them that card.
Just that always there. Okay,
But
understand that.
like I said, it is only supposed to be used at our licensed retailers. We send a list of those with the card whenever we send out the card so that they know where they can use it. I will say that one was accidentally accepted at Lowe's. We got that phone call later, but I mean, there wasn't anything we could do about it. They
Well,
just,
they did, how they go about applying for these?
there is an application online on the website, or they can pick one up at any of our tag office locations, or we can email it to them, either way.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anybody else? Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Self-governance, Vicki Hamby?
Good afternoon. You have my report, pretty much just some updates on the issues that have been raised by council members in the past with, I know Harley, Councilor Buzzard has requested information about the roads appeal, and we're still working on that. We have a call that we're trying to coordinate in conjunction with the AG office and the Bureau in that regard. So we're still working on that. We had a meeting with the Department of Veterans Affairs about our MOU with them. Primarily, there's a couple of changes that are coming about at the national level, and our agreement will be coming up for renewal. There's option years that you can add to that, and we're in process of doing that. Primarily, at the national level, they've been withholding a $15 administrative fee out of each claim we submit, and they have stopped charging that $15 fee, or withholding that $15 fee. Contract support cost continues to be a hot topic at the national level, and it's very important to us because we have a tremendous amount of money involved with contract support costs. And so the latest information in that regard is the administration, the president's budget had a proposal for mandatory funding. In other words, it would move the contract support costs from discretionary to mandatory. Just the fact that OMB has agreed to propose that is a pretty huge move on the part of administration. So there's at the national level, we're doing a lot of work with how do we actually work with Congress and the administration to get some of those things accomplished. And of course, the devil's in the details of how to actually go about doing that. But that would be beneficial to not only Cherokee Nation, but tribes, both self-governance and direct service tribes. So that would be huge in Indian country if we can get that accomplished. Of course, we'd like to see tribal funds, especially Indian Health Service, all in mandatory, but that would be a pretty heavy lift. But just to get contract support cost in mandatory funding at the national level would be a great accomplishment for Indian country. So you have my report. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Councilor Keenan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Samby, would you keep us informed on the MOU with the veterans? I was going to ask about that. So as that develops, will you? I know you will, but thank you in advance for that. And by the way, Mr. Hastings did a good job in your absence.
Oh, well, thank you. He's a good employee. So thank you.
I had a question on, let's see, I guess it's page, it might be two of three on yours, on number 8, that you're the alternate representative for the BIA budget formulation. You're the alternate.
Yes.
Do you still attend those meetings anyway, or just as needed?
We try to attend as much as possible. The last Interior Budget Committee, how that comes about is there's a regional meeting and the tribes select who they want to represent them at the national meeting. And it just so happened that this time was all of the bad weather and issues going on, and so we had several people that were unable to actually fly to DC. Their flights were canceled. You know, it was bad weather. I happened to be ill at that time, so but we did have representatives there.
And we always have a representative.
From the Eastern Oklahoma Regional Office, there's always representatives there, as there are from every region.
And then the one above that, paragraph above that, number 7, on the work group, is that the main body that the federal government is the advice from with the nations?
I'm sorry, on what now?
On the Indian Health Service Contract Support Cost Work Group,
Number 7 on our report.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the same on yours.
Well, there's
It's Oklahoma City area, CSC. You're the technical advisor.
yes.
So, but is that body the one that goes to Washington? Or how does that work?
Yes and no. All of these work groups are selected differently. They're, the membership is selected in different ways. At times, it's the tribes make the selection. Sometimes it's the agency that makes the selection. With the contract support cost for IHS, there were calls for volunteers or applications, if you will, to the selected. They're getting more and more formal about these work groups in that they, some advise the agency or even the secretary on certain issues. And they've gotten more restrictive on how they conduct those work groups, especially with IHS or HHS. Some of the others are more relaxed and anyone can attend and you can have input. So I can't just make a blanket statement about these work groups. They're all different.
And
But that one is, the selections were made several years ago by the area director at Oklahoma City.
who represents us for CSC, IHS?
Well, that would be Rhonda Butcher with Citizen Potawatomi Nation and Mickey Piercy with Choctaw Nation. They're the two selected tribal representatives. There's also federal representatives, which from our area, the representative is Max Tasuda and Kevin Meeks.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Good.
Chair.
Okay, thank you. Good report, Vicki. Gaming Commission, Mr. Jamie Hummingbird.
Good afternoon, everyone. In addition to the information you have in the report, there are a few items that I would like to brief the committee on, things that are pending out there in Indian gaming. First is a report that is being compiled by the Government Accounting Office. About summertime last year, there was a request made, I believe it was on behalf of Senator McCain through the Indian Affairs Committee, for an assessment of the state of Indian gaming, basically the state of regulation in Indian gaming. And the GAO was tasked with that undertaking. The GAO released a draft of the report prior to a conference in November last year, and the information contained in it was fairly simple at that time. They were still doing their document gathering and information collecting. The nature of the report is one that is very of much interest to everybody in Indian gaming, simply because depending on what the outcome is, what the data shows, it is something that could be used to show or to demonstrate the need to open up IGRA. If they feel that tribes are not doing enough to regulate gaming facilities, then one concern is that this would be something that the federal government might use to enable the National Gaming Commission to have more authority in areas in which they currently do not, or to expand their authorities in areas in which they currently do. So we are very interested in what's going to come out of this report, which, as my understanding, as of yesterday, it could be issued at any time. So once that report is done, we, of course, will be taking a close read of it to see what possible impacts it's going to have, not only on us at the Cherokee Nation, but and the Indian gaming industry as a whole. So we're very keenly interested in that. The second item is one of a little bit more direct impact or immediate impact on our gaming facilities, and that is a proposed rule that was issued by the Internal Revenue Service about 2 weeks ago. In that proposed rule, IRS is seeking comments and input on a change to the reporting amounts that would be required for casinos, not just Indian casinos, but all casinos. That reporting amount would take the threshold down from $1,200 as it stands today to $600. It would also potentially institute a change in the documentation and the process for documenting these types of payments to our patrons. in reading the proposed rule and in discussing the potential impact with my counterparts across the country, I think we all agree that this proposed rule has the most potential to negatively impact the gaming industry, in particular Indian gaming industry, more so than anything that's been done in the last 5 or 10 years. Simply because the level of transactions, the number of transactions that we would be looking at would skyrocket. $1,200 right now, there are a lot of transactions, a lot of jackpots, as you will, that we are required to track and report to not only IRS, but to FinCEN under Department of Treasury. If we were to now take that down to $600, that amount would be considerably more than what we are reporting now. And it creates an additional burden for the players on what we report for them, as well as on the casino staff. And with the proposed change in their tracking methods, it's a very confusing method, to say the least. And if we, as the regulators and the interpreters, if you will, of those laws can't understand it, it's going to be very difficult to get players and casino staff to understand that. It is a very convoluted process. So we're going to keep an eye on it. The comment period for this proposed rule ends in June. We will be preparing some remarks, and I think this is going to garner a lot of attention and response from the Indian gaming community in particular, but I think you'll also see the Nevada and the New Jersey markets also be keenly interested in getting their voice heard as well. Excuse me. Yesterday we had our most recent visit from the NIGC. We toured and visited the South Coffeyville location. We took a tour of all the back of house areas, surveillance, drop and count, cage, security, everything in between. Everything went well. There's a few items of information that were requested that I did not have at my disposal that I will be forwarding to the NIGC to round out their information request. I thought the visit went very well. The facility staff did an outstanding job being responsive and accommodating to our requests and our needs, so I wanted to applaud them for that. And just last week, we received the letter from the visit that was done in January at the Ramona facility, in which there were no compliance issues found, and everything was reported as such. So Ramona looked good. I expect South Coffeyville to also look good. Probably about another 6 weeks or so before we get the final report on it, but it looks good for that. There will be more visits in the coming months. They have not given me a schedule as to when they want to visit our other facilities or in what order, but as soon as they contact me to arrange those, we will be, of course, willing to adjust our schedule if need be. We did also receive last week the letter from the DC office acknowledging that we have met the 120-day notice requirement for the Roland facility. By NIGC regulations, we have to notify them at least 120 days in advance of opening a new facility. And even though I call the Roland facility a replacement facility, it's still considered a new building. So we are obligated to do that. We've met that requirement and we've received our notice. And recently we've had a few issues at the facilities at Roland and South Coffeyville related to water. We've had some problems with the water pipes. I think a couple of them burst and a couple of parts failed, and we had to shut the facilities down for a number of hours. But those issues were quickly resolved, and the facilities got back up and running. And of course, last night we had a lot of weather in the area. The Catoosa facility was evacuated for about 3 or so hours, a little over 3 hours. And if you saw the news last night on Channel 6, there was a very good picture of a very ominous cloud that looked like a funnel cloud right over our hotel there at Catoosa. So the staff at the casinos were very professional and expedient in getting the players off of the machines, even though many of them didn't want to leave. There was a good exodus and a good return to the facility once the all clear was given. They were moved to the safer areas and kept safe there for the time that the weather was in. And the same thing happened at West Alum Springs. There was a little bit less warning for that area, but they were able to get the staff and the patrons into safe areas and rode out the storm. So far, the reports are there's very minimal damage. Some pipes had burst and some signs had blown over and a few things like that, but nothing that seems to be significant. So we were thankful for the fact that everybody made it through the weather safe last night. With that, if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Where's the nearest shelter for the people there at Catoosa?
At Catoosa, there's actually a couple of areas. For the main part of it, the safer area is located in the warehouse. And if you're familiar with that, if you've ever been on a tour of that, you would know the warehouse is built into a side of the hill. So they have about a 30-foot wall, and that wall is actually the hill, so there's a lot of space in between there. So if there is any area, that's really where you want to be. If you get over towards the Hard Rock side, at Casino 1 as we call it, there's a number of areas there in and around the hotel and in the basement. So we have a couple of areas, and the staff are very well versed in the process for getting the facilities evacuated and where to evacuate people to. The same thing for West Alum Springs. There are a number of safer areas depending on where you are, but the staff knows exactly where to go, and most usually they're back of house.
Very good. Thank you, Jay. No, Counselor.
In that regard, also, what about if people are in the hotel rooms? Is there any kind of speaker system or anything that tells them that you need to take over, like if they're not watching TV or something?
Well, there are alarms throughout the facility, including on the hotel floors, and then security also goes through and goes floor by floor to check it out.
Counselor Thornton?
Jamie, on the reporting amount that's changed by the federal NIGC?
This would be for IRS.
IRS?
Yes.
When those payouts are made now,
Mm-hmm.
does Cherokee Gaming Commission have a representative there to look over those payouts?
Not for the payouts, no.
They don't?
No, all of the payouts over $1,200, and there are different levels of requirements based on NIGC internal controls. For $1,200 or more, there has to be at least 2 employees involved, one of which has to be a supervisor. Anything over a threshold based on that facility size, which is more than likely it's going to be $10,000, you will have at least those 2 people plus a manager. And if it's over, I believe over 50,000, you have to have the general manager sign off on that amount. So based on the threshold and the amount of money that is involved is going to dictate who's got to be involved in the transaction, but the CNGC does not have a role in that.
Okay, are you keeping up with the employment there at Roland, or are you gonna have to do any more hiring there?
Yes, right now I think at Roland we want to assess the level of response and see what kind of workload is going to be placed on the staff there. We think we might be able to hold off with what we've got, but we want to check. Since we are increasing the amount of games and venues there, there may be a need, but we don't want to staff it ahead of time. If we can cover it with what we have, with the staff that we have, then we will do that. But if the workload looks like we need to add somebody, then we will be back before this body.
Okay, just curious there.
Yeah,
Waiting for you to come back.
and we might. Yeah, with 300 more machines, there is a lot. With machines, things go down, things malfunction, parts break.
You even have your card games are gonna be,
Excuse me?
card games?
Yeah, they're increasing the number of table games, but I think they're keeping the number of poker games the same. I think they have 7 poker tables, and I believe they're wanting to put in about 4 more blackjack and other table games. But, and on that, just a quick note, so far as I know, as of yesterday, knock on wood, everything is still on pace to open in mid-May.
Good. Thank you.
Very good. Good. Counselor Taylor?
My question was also on reporting, reducing that amount, and I didn't understand you. Did you say the comment period is in June or ends?
Ends. The last day to submit comments, I believe, is June 2nd.
Okay, and how long after that do you anticipate the decision to come down in anybody's gas?
Yeah, usually when a rule of this magnitude comes out, I would be surprised if it was less than 6 months.
Okay, so first of the year, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you, that's all I
Good.
have.
Thank you, Jamie. Good report.
Thank you.
Human Resources, Mr. Nason Morton.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I have a couple things this afternoon. Just an announcement that the open enrollment for employee benefits will be again in April this year. It's April 13th through 24th. We'll be sending out a written notice with the requirements, and we'll also be sending out all employee emails. And so we have a variety of areas that we're setting up to do changes of enrollment for your benefit plans.
Okay.
Also, we've been doing orientation, and when the person comes in on the first day of work, they spend the first day in orientation, or most of the first day. We throw a lot of information at them, have them sign a bunch of documents, and then we release them to their departments. After that, now we're going to check in with them, do a phone call within a couple of weeks, and just ask them how they're doing, to see if there's anything that we didn't cover in orientation that they wish that we would have. Just something that we can see what we're doing in our orientation that helps people get feel welcome coming here to Cherokee Nation, and also things that we can improve on. And we've already started doing it, making the phone calls. I anticipate also adding another step to where we send them a survey, check again a little bit later in the process, make sure everything's still going okay, and then to ask them what we could do differently, what we could do better, and just try to keep track of the things that show up the most, and we'll modify how we do things kind of based on that, just to help serve the people coming in, because when you first come to a new place, it's a little bit daunting, and anything we do to make them feel more welcome, we'll try to do it. That's all the announcements I have. Anyone have any questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Counselor
I don't
Thornton.
really have a question for you, but I do for Jamie. He's left here, and you brought something up that I wanted to talk to.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And it doesn't really include HR as far as you're concerned, but, now Jamie owned this rolling casino.
Yes, sir.
They just started, they give them HR 2 months to hire like 280 employees. Now, you know that big increase in employees is going to make your job harder also.
Yes, sir.
So that's what I was wanting to bring up again, and I don't appreciate Cherokee Nation gaming facilities giving these people 2 months to hire all these employees. But that's where I'm at. But I just wanted to know, will that have anything to do with you? I mean, you're gonna be watching more employees there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, a couple of things on that. One is, I can't say enough about having an outstanding staff of licensing agents and my licensing manager. We have been talking about preparing for this, and I believe we are prepared to handle the the rush that we're going to have, because they've had, I think, three or four different job fairs over the last month.
Right.
And as we have gone forward with projects in the past, we've always made ourselves available to either be at a job fair, or once the job fair is over, if they have their applications, we process them as quickly as we can. So sustaining that level of employee review, because they will have a couple, 300 more employees once the hotel and everything is said and done. We will again assess our operations to see if there is a need to make any adjustments. We are also hoping to increase our efficiencies by going through and making a lot of our manual processes electronic. So if we are able to do that, that will help us manage the workload a little bit better than what we can now. So we have a number of variables in there, but to maybe address the immediate question, we are prepared to take what is thrown at us just to get the facility open. But after everything settles down, we will have to assess exactly what the long-term impact is going to be.
Well, that's my concern, is that you're able to
We-
take what's thrown at you.
Yeah, we will do what we need to do to
I know
get things done.
After that, they're planning on hiring over 100 for the hotel.
Right.
So, it's gonna get up close to 400 people hired down there.
Correct.
It's gonna make a difference, it would look like in the gaming commission.
And we just had we had one vacancy within our licensing department happen about 2-3 months ago, and we were able to hire an individual that started last Monday. And rather than staffing them here at Tahlequah, where the previous position was, we have staffed them at Roland. So that will also help expedite the process, so that whatever questions, or if there's a need to get information from us or have us do something related to licensing, we will have an on-site agent there to assist the Employee Services Office in collecting information, visiting with the applicants, and hopefully expediting that process, more so than just having to go back and forth between Roland and here.
Well, I knew that you had also, there was one person quit at Sallisaw that was in the gaming commission.
Yes, we've had actually 2 gaming agents resign. Actually, one went back to work for C&E, and one just resigned. So we are down 2 agents at Roland and Sallisaw at this time.
I just trying to keep up with it.
Yep. We will be advertising. In fact, I just approved, and Nason probably getting a request for a replacement for those positions.
Thank you.
All right.
We're going to go right back with gaming. Okay.
I'll come back after the next one
Okay,
if I need
Counselor
to.
Lay.
I just wanted to say.
Hey, Counselor Lay, Jamie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, Jeff. It's just a good problem to have, having to hire 400 people all at once.
I love it.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
We do too.
ask any other tribe about, how many people they're hiring. They're here. We have opportunity to hire 300 to 400, and we know you can take care of that.
Just if I might, just a quick editorial comment. We were at a conference a couple of weeks ago, and there are people that are saying, we've only got 6 people in our licensing department, and we've got 1,000 employees we got to do, and we got this and that, and they have 1 facility. And I said, well, I've got 9 in my licensing department. We have 4,500 that we license right now, with possible 300 to 400 more, and we have 10 facilities. That tells me that I've got a very good staff. And like I said, I can't say enough about them. They're dedicated, they're on top of it, and they're thorough, and they're 99.9% accurate.
Yeah.
That 1%, that 0.1% is probably stuff that nobody in the world would probably catch, but they are very good at what they do. So.
Yeah. None of this really surprises me. We were always told it's a great day to be Cherokee.
Yeah. Well, when we started this business, when I got into it 17 years ago, we had 3 gaming facilities and about 500 employees. Now we have 10 facilities, and we will have close to 5,000 employees.
Come a long ways.
It's great to be Cherokee.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
You're good. You're good. We got time. Old business, none pending. New business, a resolution, Counselor Vasquez, you're up.
Yes, thank you. Introducing a resolution confirming the nomination of Eddie Morrison as an advisory committee member of Cherokee National Treasures Program. And Eddie is in the audience.
Eddie is here.
Eddie's here. Would you stand? And if you'd like to,
Uh-oh.
like to say anything, you're welcome to.
Well, I think I know a lot of you, but there's some of you I don't know. So. But I think that getting to be a national treasure was the pinnacle of my career, and I will take this very seriously, being on the committee.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Counselor Coates?
Were you awarded the National Treasure?
It was 2014.
2014, just very recently. The other thing I saw in here that I was just curious about is an artist in residence in Denver and a gallery owner in Caldwell, Kansas. But you presently reside
In
here?
Tahlequah. Yes, I
Okay.
grew up here in
Okay.
Tahlequah.
I just got excited for a minute. I thought maybe an at-large citizen had been appointed to one of the committees. I'll vote for you anyway, though.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all.
Okay.
I put this in the form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, got a motion, second. More discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Mr. Morrison, congratulations.
Welcome, thank you.
Okay, any announcements? Next meeting is April the 30th, so this meeting is adjourned.